got this little newspaper clipping out of the Daily Sentinel. It's a couple weeks old now. It talks about lawmakers urge USPS to fix staffing problems. So I worked at the post office for 10 months, and the people at the post office, the vast majority of them are super hardworking people, wonderful people. You have to be a hard worker to work at the post office because they work you to death. They treat their people like crap. The institution of the post office treats their people very badly. And then they act like it's just been going on forever and they can never change it. They have no control over changing it. The big boys up, whoever controls the post office, can't change it. Well, here's a newspaper article, and I'm going to read it to you. It just says, 4 of Colorado's Democratic members of Congress are trying to get the United States Post Office to address persistent problems with delivery issues in 14 mountain communities in the state, including Grand Junction. That's where I'm at, Grand Junction. In a letter to Postmaster General Louis DeJoy sent Wednesday, the 4 U.S. senators, Michael Bennet, John Hickenlooper, U.S. Representatives Brittany Peterson, and Joe Negesi, I don't know how to pronounce that, point to an audit released by the USPS Office of Inspector General last month that found persistent delays in 14 Colorado post offices, including at the Grand Junction Care Annex on Scarlet Street. And that's exactly the one I worked in. The very one that they actually fired me from because I insisted that I have days off. They never want to give anybody days off. You're going to work 7 days a week for eternity and they act like as a human you're a superhero and don't need to do your laundry. So, and they don't want to address these problems, even though there's now newspaper articles and senators get involved. They don't want to address these problems. So, specifically mentions the annex on Scarlet Street and the Grand Junction Processing and Distributing Center on Berkeley Street. While most of the delays were due to understaffing, some stemmed from improper equipment. Understaffing is, when I was there, they ran people off constantly. People quit left and right. They quit left and right because they overworked them. They didn't want to treat them with respect and dignity, and they overworked them. So people were quitting left and right. And even the lady who trained me, the person who trained me, quit. She was done with the post office too, and she'd been there a while. And she's the one who trained me. So at the Grand Junction Processing Center, for example, audits found 5 tubs of mail returned from the Glenwood Springs post office for automatic processing. Problem is, the center has no machine that can do that work, requiring the mail to be hand processed. To make matters worse, the center never communicated that to area post offices that were returning that flat mail to them, the audit says. The audit also found that during its 43-week audit period between October 22 and July 23, the Grand Junction Care Annex was 30% understaffed. Now, you'd hire a bunch of people and they'd all quit, or one in the group would stay with them, or a couple of them would stay. So they were constantly understaffed. But you could keep people if you gave them days off and treat them with respect. I wouldn't have left. I didn't plan to leave until I just realized that that not only were going to treat me like crap, but never gave me time off. Even when you become a regular employee, you still get split days off. You still treated it. You're a little bit better. You get a little more money. Your 2 days off, but your 2 days off are split. You're still treated. You're just not respected as an employee at the post office. You are not respected as an employee at the post office, even though in some ways it's a wonderful job, and when you have a regular route, people can really appreciate you, become part of the community. So there's a lot of good aspects to that area of it. But no one is going to put up. Hardly anybody puts up with 2 years when you first get the job. You have a 2-year period where you're a temporary employee basically, and they want to run you to death for some weird reason. They want to run you and work you to death constantly. But it's just they offered 10 recommendations to address the problem, but the USPS management disagreed with 3 of them, including exploring the possibility of paying employees more. Well, in the day, people told me the post office was a good job. Lots of people back in the day told me post office was a good job. Well, they actually lowered people's pay in the post office. This has been a few years back. They lowered people's pay. And then they take less time to make them a permanent employee. They used to string people along for years. You'd work at the post office for years, and you were never an employee. You were a temporary employee. They would fire you, and then at the end of that year, they'd give you a week off, and if they wanted to keep you, they'd hire you again. But meantime, you weren't earning any benefits whatsoever. But they paid you more money back then, so it's very odd. And of course, the people in the mountain communities can't live off what the post office pays. 1933 is what the post office starts. Exploring possibility of paying employees more and analyzing working conditions that affect hiring and retaining employees. Customers of Colorado mountain towns experience lower on-time service performance, especially for packages, compared to the rest of the state and the nation overall. The biggest challenge was the facility's ability to hire and retain personnel. I'll repeat that again. The biggest challenge was the facility's ability to hire and retain personnel. No one came to me. As a union representative, he didn't come to me. He did not come to me and tell me, this is how you work through these issues, say at the post office. It wasn't until I was angry that we actually had discussions. I seen employees quit left and right, and I'd never seen him go to any of the employees and tell them how to work around these situations in the job. Actually, when I came to him over a problem, he says to me, McDonald's is hiring. McDonald's is hiring. So that's the mentality of the post office and this union supposedly that represents us. Instead of actually coming in individual contact with each other and trying to get people to stay that are good workers like me and lots of the people that were there, the union representative says McDonald's is hiring. They don't really even care about retaining you. That's the main problem. That's what it says right here. The biggest challenge was the facility's ability to hire and retain personnel. I do not recommend the post office job to anybody. Anybody. Everybody I come in contact, they ask me, if I tell them about the post office, I tell them, don't go apply there. It's not worth it. We also found deficiencies with handling of mail and packages, transactions, transportation schedules, and facility constraints. In the letter, the 4 automakers called on the Joy to take quick action in fixing what ails the Postal Service. Saying that staffing should be central to addressing it. The 4 wrote that the problems are now not new ones, and it shouldn't take an inspector general's audit to get action. Amen. I shouldn't have had to quit. They shouldn't have to. All these people that quit because they don't want to take any action. They think that what they're doing is okay, but you have this much turnover. Obviously, there's a mistake. Obviously, something's going on. It is unacceptable. That's how I felt. Unacceptable to not see improvements on those long-standing issues. But it is even more alarming during the holiday season, they wrote. The cost of living in these mountain towns has increased substantially, and the hourly pay of the USPS has not kept up with the cost of living in these areas. Anyway, that's that article. And I'm not even saying the article, I'm not mad. I got another job, which is 1,000 times better. I'm not mad at anybody at the post office. It's the bureaucracy of the system. The poor managers there are forced to abuse people because of the red tape that's going on. They're trying desperately to make things work and get it all together. They're always short-staffed. Well, if you're always short-staffed, then the people that work there are even under more pressure because then they have longer days covering more and more routes because they can never keep people. So it's a self-repeating cycle. If you had enough people, then you could give people days off, a time off. They could recuperate, they could recover, they could do their laundry, and then the job wouldn't be so stressful for them. But I'm just letting you know, I found that article very interesting, and not that I'm trying to justify myself for getting fired or because I was looking for another job anyway. I was already done with the post office. I realized that the post office was not the place for me. They were not going to change. Hopefully, for the people that steal the post office, hopefully it gets better. Hopefully articles like this actually help the post office to change and grow and adapt and take better care of their employees. Anyway, hey, listen, I love everybody that works at the post office. I really do. I don't mean to sound like I'm hateful to the people because that's not my intent. The people at the post office are, like I said, beautifully hard-working people. They work their butts off constantly, and they deserve all the respect. And as we do, is we should appreciate what they do. It's a very stressful job in wintertime, well, all the time. Summertime when it's too hot, winter when it's too cold, working and delivering mail in the dark with headlights on. So I do bless them and appreciate them without a doubt. Anyway, I'm done ranting.